Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, let's start. We have to discuss about file system today. Means we'll learn how do we format and what are the file system we have in Linux operating system. In last class we have learned about partition. I think no, sorry, 1 second. No, we have just learned about partitions, right? We didn't discuss partitioning, so we have to learn partitioning practically today. Okay, as I said earlier, I'll use fdisk only because parted gdisk like this. There are many applications available in Linux, open source, for creating, managing partitions, but we will learn only fdisk because this is the one mentioned in syllabus, and this is the one Red Hat and Sun operating system promoting and always recommending. And even I have seen many people are using fdisk, so we will learn fdisk in depth. There are many tools. I've introduced names of 3 tools, but there are many paid tools also, like disk management, PowerQuest, disk management, and Norton Partition Magic, PM, Norton PM. Like this, many applications are available. I mean, paid applications are available, and there are so many free application in open source also. So we must use some tool for creating partition. We have, even in Windows, we use some tool for creating, managing partitions like disk management, Wizard, in GUI, understanding. In CUI, in CMD also we have some tools. Normally we use, to create partition, to create and manage partition. We are going to discuss about fdisk. So let's directly start practical. I'll just attach one hard disk drive to this machine. Let me check available disk informations. It says there is one hard disk drive in this, and this disk size is 20 gigabyte and completely utilized. Utilized means there is no free space or unallocated space to practice partitioning. To practice partitioning, to learn partitioning, there is no free space available in this hard disk drive. So what I'll do is I'll add one new hard disk drive to this machine. So we are using virtual machine, so it's very easy to add, remove, hard disk drives. Not only hard disk drive, virtual hardware peripheral devices. I'll try to add one hard disk drive to this machine. I'll just go to VM settings. And I'll go for add hard disk drive. Next, I'll add SATA. If you add SCSI, you will have to just restart the machine, reboot the machine. So I'll add SATA. SATA is hot swappable. Next again, and 20 gigabyte. Finish. I've added a hard disk drive to this machine. Okay, I'll just give ls blk again. So disk will be detected, will take some time normally. Okay, disk is detected. Look at the SDA 20 gigabyte. SDA 20 gigabyte. SDA, we have added SATA disk, right? So SDA 20 gigabyte and type is disk. No partitions are defined, so no partitions are listed here. That means no partitions are defined so far. You're going to create partitions. So I've defined MBR and GPT earlier, and you might have understood what are the differences between MBR and GPT. And you please try to understand Linux operating system will Linux operating system treat every new hard disk as MBR disk by default. Linux operating system treat every hard disk as MBR disk by default. MBR disk also called DOS disk, because MBR style of partitioning. It's a style of partitioning was introduced with MS-DOS operating system in 1982. That's the reason we call MBR. MBR also called DOS partitioning, or DOS style of partition, MBR style of partition. So this is very important. The next operating system consider every new hard disk as MBR or DOS disk by default. If you want, you can convert to GPT. That is our next discussion. So first, we will learn how do we create and manage partitions on MBR. Okay. Look here. So there is a hard disk drive, SDA, 20 gigabyte. No partitions are defined. We're going to create first partition. Okay. So as I said earlier, we use fdisk. I'll type fdisk -L stands for list. Okay, fdisk -L stands for listing. Then it's listing. Okay, it's listing. There are many things listed here. So we have two hard disk drive in this machine. Okay, first hard disk drive is /dev/nvme. Okay, 0 and 1. So here, and second hard is the one which we have added just now is SDA. Then you may have a doubt why it start with dev. So I think I've told you. Okay, just to give a /, then you can see there is a directory called dev. So dev directory contain files which represent our hardware devices. Dev directory contain files which represents our hardware devices. Dev directory contain files which represents our hardware devices. Our hardware device means peripheral devices. Example, a keyboard, mouse, hard disk drive, memory, CPU, hard disk drive, CD-ROM, all are hardware devices. We call peripheral devices. But your operating system is software, right? Your operating system is software, but we are using so many hardware devices. My question is how your operating system is representing hardware devices. How operating system is communicating with hardware devices or identifying hardware devices. There is an answer with the help of driver. But if I ask you how it is representing hardware device. Okay, for every hardware device, there is equivalent files. For mouse, to represent mouse, there is file. To represent keyboard, there is a file. So for everything, there are files. Understand it? So those files are stored under /dev. So if you just give /dev, showing so many things, but you can realize one thing. Okay, there is your hard disk drive like NV. Okay, see this hard disk drive is visible here. Understanding, and the disk which we have added newly also will be listed somewhere here. But anyway, these are the files which represents the hardware devices in operating system. Okay, so that's the reason the names always start with, look here, names always start with /dev. Look at this. What's the actual device name? SDA. But start with /dev/SDA, right? Because dev is a directory contain the file which represents what this particular hardware device. Okay. I need a moment. I'm not well actually. I can't, keep cancel the classes. One moment, please. Okay, so it's showing here /dev/SDA. So all device names always start with /dev. So if anyone asks you the name of hard disk, you should not say SDA. You must say /dev/SDA. Always, okay, you should always say absolute path of the device. So this is absolute path of the device. If you have any questions, you must clear it. Okay. Now it says there are two hard disk drives in this machine. Okay, first hard disk drive is NVMe0 N1, size 20 gigabyte, and other details are visible here. Okay, now size and number of bytes, size and number of sectors. It's very difficult for us, handling hard disk drives in number of bytes and sectors. So we always handle in kilo, mega, giga, tera. Understanding that's easy for us. And if you come down, you can see it says this hard disk is formatted in, like created partition in DOS format, DOS style. DOS style means MBR style. And it's giving details of this hard disk. It says this hard disk this disk contain two. Okay, this name is /dev NVMe0N1 contain two partitions, two divisions. This is first division and it's bootable. Start from this. Okay, forget 1 gigabyte in size and 83. I'll explain everything. Let me show you how do we create a partition. Okay, and I'll tell you what is ID, everything I'll explain well. Please wait. And finally, look here. Here there is a new hard disk drive we have added just now, that is 20 gigabyte, and it says okay, you cannot see any partition type here. Okay, it's not okay, like disk label type is not visible, whether MBR or GPT. But you please try to understand, when you're going to create partition, like F disk will tell you I've treated this disk as DOS. That is quite normal. That's what I said initially. It's default. Now, uh, so there is a way to take the list of to view the list of a particular disk also. Okay, if you just give L, it will show you all available disk in your machine and its details, disk and details in your machine. And if you just give a particular disk name like /dev/SDA, show you only that particular disk details. Understanding? Now anyway, I just want to show you how do we create partition on this. I just want to create partition on this disk. Okay, I will not teach, I will not touch the disk which exists already. Okay, I'm just going to create, we are going to use the disk which we have added now. Okay, I'll just give /dev/SDA, just enter. You can see it's written welcome to fdisk utility Linux version of it. So fdisk is a separate program which used to create and manage partitions on hard disk drives. Changes will remain in main memory only until you decide to write them. Be careful before using write command. So if you create partition, if you create partition, or that this is a program, right? Fdisk is a program. Look at the prompt. It's not our usual bash prompt or shell prompt. This is what fdisk program prompt. So whatever the changes you make from this program will not be directly written to the hard disk. Okay, it will just store temporarily. And when you give temporarily means on main memory. Main memory is temporary memory, right? Main memory RAM is temporary memory, volatile memory. Understanding? And once you request for write, once you request to save, then only the changes will happen on disk. That is the meaning of these two lines. And also it says you should be very careful before requesting write command. Okay, device does not contain recognized partition table. It says this is a new hard disk drive, and see it says created a new disk. New DOS disk label with disk identifier. Understanding? So that's what I said. Every new disks are treated as every new disks are treated as MBR disk by default. Please keep in mind. Now what I'll do is I'll okay, show you all options. There are so many options here. I'll just press M. You have to adjust today. Really, I have stiffy, headache and so many problems. But I can't cancel again. That's the reason I thought of it, because then it will be a big gap. Understand? So now it's 4 days gap. Okay, we will lose connection. Okay, I'll just press M here. M, enter. Showing so many options. Key shortcuts, right? These are key shortcuts. You see so many key shortcut alphabets. We will learn everything, no worries. Okay, but all not at not all at one go, gradually. We will be using all of these today. These generic. There are some MBR, DOS MBR related keyboard shortcut, generic keyboard shortcut, miscellaneous, okay, and script related, and we will use this save and exit. Okay, this for conversion, this label conversion. Okay, now, so D for deleting partition. Suppose if you want to delete a partition, existing partition D. F for to view the unpartitioned space available in a disk. L for listing. N for add new partition. P for print the partition table. And T for changing partition partition type. V for verifying the partition table. Let's start. Okay, no use of just saying like that. Now, okay, I'll just press N for creating. No, I'll just press P for printing partition. P, print partition. What's the purpose? Simple. Okay, just to view the existing partition. Okay, I don't know whether if is there any existing partitions. I'll just press P. Then it says sorry, no partitions exist. Showing some details of the disk, but no partitions are listed. No partitions are listed. That means no partitions are defined so far. So no partitions are listed. Okay, I'll just go for new, N for new. Then you might be remembering, I've told you there are, in case of MBR, there are two types of partitions, primary and extended. Extended partition can be further divided to multiple called logical, logical partition. So primary partition, extended partition. People usually ask a question, Ashraf, what is the differences or difference between primary and extended? Okay, there is only one difference. Primary partition will have priority while booting. Primary partition will have priority while booting. Understanding? That's only the difference. There is no other difference really. Okay, Windows users might be knowing. Okay, suppose you have created 4 partition, one primary, other 3 logicals. Okay, 3 logicals created. One moment. Okay. Okay, one primary, another 3 logicals created. And this logical partition, okay, can we install an operating system on logical? This is frequently asking question. Let me just elaborate it. Look here. Okay, say for example, I'm just going to create partition. I have a disk, 40 GB hard disk. This is, okay, 40 GB hard disk. I just want to create partition in MBR style. So MBR style means there are 2 types of partition. One is primary, another is extended. So what I'll do is I'm creating one primary partition. One primary partition is defined. Size 10 gigabyte and type primary. Primary is created. How much space available now? Okay, 30 GB space is available. This space is technically called unpartitioned space or unallocated space. Please, you should not say free space. Free space means something else. This is not free space. This is called unallocated space, unpartitioned space. So there is 30 GB of unpartitioned space available now. 30 GB of unpartitioned space is available now. What I'll do is I'll give complete 30 GB to extended. Example, now this 30 GB is extended partition. This 30 is extended partition. Okay, so what is the current status? 10 GB, one primary partition, remaining 30 GB is allocated to extended. And this extended partition can be further divided to multiple called logical. Further divided to multiple called logical. Okay, please don't ask me, Ashraf, what is this design? What's the purpose of this? Is very old. Really, it's reason for this type of design is not really disclosed anywhere. So I don't know. Okay, but you try to understand. Okay, this is one style of partitioning. That's all. Now what I'll do is I have 30 GB of extended. I can't store data into extended until I divide this logical. I can't use the space to store use extended partition to store data until I divide them to logical. At least you have to make one logical. So extended partition is what actually container for logical. Now what I'll do is I'm just going to divide this extended to one logical. This is one logical. Now what's the size of extended? Extended size is example 20 gigabyte, and this is one 10 GB logical partition. Okay, now there is one primary, one logical, and extended partition has 20 gigabyte in its hand. Now I'm going to divide this extended to one more logical. Okay, this is again a logical partition, 10 gigabyte. Understand now. Okay, this extended has only 10 gigabyte in hand. Extended has only 10 gigabyte. So what I'll do is I'll make this also as this also divide to one more logical. So now what's the status? There are three logical, 1 2 3 logical partitions, size 10 GB each. So these three partitions are combinedly called extended but individually called logical. Okay, and one primary. Then you may have a question as to how many partitions we can how many partitions we can have maximum. Okay, I'll tell you the answer, please wait. Okay, and also you may have like a question like there was an extended of 30 GB. Can I divide that extended to 30 logical partitions? Okay, that is not possible in case of Linux. In case of Linux, that is not possible. Understanding? But actually we can divide to multiple logical. But in Linux, we have some limitations that you will understand gradually. Kindly wait. Okay. So this is one type of partitioning. Another type example. This is just for understanding some scenarios, just for understanding. Look here. I have another 40 GB hard disk here. Please clear. Okay, if you have any doubt, must clear, please. Another 40 GB of hard disk drive. In this, I'm planning to create two primary partitions. Earlier, I have created only one primary partition, right? Now, I've created two primary partitions. This is primary 10 gigabyte. This is another primary 10 gigabyte. Okay, so what is the remaining space? Okay, remaining space means what is the unallocated space available on this hard disk? 20 gigabyte, right? 20 gigabyte. I'm planning to make this 20 gigabyte to extended. Yes, given to extended. Is there any unallocated space here? I've told you don't say free space. Okay, don't say free space. This is not free space. Okay, earlier it was unallocated. Now I have allocated to extended. Okay, until you divide extended logical, that extended is called free space. Please try to understand. Extended. How much space available with extended? That is called that space is the space available with extended is called free space. Okay, so before allocating the space to any partition, that is called unallocated unallocated space or unpartitioned space. Now there is 20 gigabyte extended. Now I'm planning to divide this extended to three logicals. Okay, you can create 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or you can create maximum 11. I'll tell the reason, please wait. Okay, you can create maximum 11 logical partitions. Now one logical is created. This is logical and example 6 gigabyte. I'm planning to create one more logical. I'll create one more logical, that also 6 gigabyte example. 6 gigabyte logical. Okay, and I'll create another logical, that is 8 gigabyte logical. Here, so I've divided this extended. Total size of extended was 20 gigabyte. Okay, we have divided into 6 plus 6, 12 plus 8 equal to 20. Understanding 3, okay, the 3 logical partitions. So in this, we had 2 primary, here 1 primary. Let me give you next example. So you may have a lot of questions, how many primary can be created in MBR maximum? Okay, we are not touching GPT now. Okay, once I finish this, I'll show you GPT. Let me finish this first. Okay, this again 40 gigabyte. In this, I'm going to create 3 primary partitions. No reason. I've told you primary partition will have priority while booting. That's only. Okay, machine will first search for the. Okay, machine will first search for the operating system bootable files in primary partition. That's all. It's not drawing. Okay, I'm planning to create 3 primary partitions. So this is one primary partition. Okay, size 10 gigabyte. This is another primary partition, 10 gigabyte. This is third primary partition. Okay, 10 gigabyte, third primary partitions. Okay, how much space available now? Available now means unpartitioned space, only 10 gigabyte. What I'm planning is I'll just give this to extended. Okay, now this is extended, size 10 gigabyte. And later what I'll do is I'll just divide this to 2, okay, 2 or 3 or 4 or, okay, logical. So this is one logical partition, size 10 gigabyte. This is another logical partition, 10 gigabyte. Okay, divided properly. Understanding? This is another type of division. In this, 1 primary, here 2 primaries, here 3 primaries, and let me tell you last example. This time I'll take one 80 GB hard disk drive. Okay, this is 80 GB hard disk drive, and I'm going to create 4 primary partition on it. 4 primary. Let's see. 4 primary partitions of 10 GB each. Okay, 10 GB. One primary. Yeah.
Just one doubt. So you
Yeah.
told that primary partition is only it has a priority while booting, right? Apart from
Yes.
that, any other advantage?
No,
Because
no priority. Only, while booting, there is something called boot sector. That is actually discussion of boot process. Anyway, you ask now, I'll just tell you boot, okay, sector. Boot sector will always will be in, primary partition. Then you may have a question, then what is the use of creating multiple primary? No answer for it. You can create this. This is your, you have a provision to create maximum for primary partition. And also here I have a correction here in this, what I said, we can create 128 primary. There is no really type of partition in GPT, but just for understanding, we usually say there is only primary partition in GPT. In case of GPT, there is no types. GPT, treat every partition as same. There is no really name for that. But in some authors' books, they have written for, you can create only primary partition. But reality is what? No, okay, there is no types. So here, same thing. These are just, names like primary partition would contain what? Boot sector. Boot sector would contain bootable files of an installed operating system. In case of Linux and Windows, all operating system will have bootable files. Okay, case of Windows, everybody know, like winload.exe, bcdedit.exe, Okay, these are the NTOS krnl.exe. Okay, these are the bootable files and kernel and bootable files of Windows. Linux also has its own like a VM Linux. Okay, there are many files we are going to study in boot process.
So
So
Ashok,
boot set.
that for every, suppose you have created four primary partitions, so all will have the boot sector and
Every
boot
say,
files.
no. When you are installing an operating system on a primary partition, first primary partition, boot sector will be created. Example, let me just explain well. Listen, imagine. Let's please consider Windows operating system. It is very easy to understand. Okay, Linux is a bit difficult to understand until we discuss boot process. Okay, now listen, please. This is a hard disk drive, this is a hard disk drive which contain four primary partitions. One, two, three, four primary partitions. And this is in Windows machine. I mean, you're going to install a Windows operating system. Then what will happen is when you're installing Windows, suppose you are going to install Windows in first partition, like this is C drive. Okay, this is C drive, D drive, E drive, and F drive. Please try to understand all four drives are primary. Okay, all four partitions are primary, and this is C. I am going to install an operating system. So what will happen is, let's say like I have installed Windows 7. Then Windows 7 operating system. I'm installing Windows 7 operating system first. So Windows 7 operating system bootable files will be stored in the, okay, it will generate boot sector automatically. When you're installing an operating system, it will generate boot sector. It will just mark as some sectors, tracking sectors, right? Some sectors will be marked as boot sector. Boot sector means from the, okay, which sector boot process should initialize, or in which sector bootable files of an installed operating systems are stored. That is called boot sector. So it will just mark some sectors as a boot sector and bootable files are stored in it. And you please try to understand now boot sector contain Windows 7 operating system files. Next you are going to install Windows 8. You are going to install Windows 8 like a multi-boot, okay? Multi-boot, like a single boot, dual boot, multi-boot. So next you are going to install Windows 8 on D drive. Windows 8 on D drive. Please try to understand here Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. You just search in internet or you just try to read and understand something about all four operating system bootable files. Files names are equal. Names are same. File names are same, but versions different. Version difference. Bootable files versions will be different. In the sense, here Windows 7. Windows 7, okay, bootable files are available in boot sector of C now. Now boot sector is in C drive only because we have installed Windows 7 on C drive. Okay, when you install Windows 8 on D drive, it will not create a boot sector here. Boot sector only one place. So that is available on the first primary partition. Okay, first I'm in C drive. So when you install Windows 8 here, Windows 8, I mean like your boot sector will be updated. Okay, existing boot sector which contain Windows 7 bootable files will be getting updated with the bootable files of Windows 8. Now if you ask me, okay, now example Windows 8 installation finish. So Windows 7 is in C drive, Windows 8 is in D drive, but boot sector contain bootable files of Windows 8, latest one, because Windows 8 bootable files contain Windows 7 bootable. What is Windows 8 bootable file? Windows 8 bootable files equal to Windows 7 bootable files plus updates. Okay, so next you are going to install what? Windows 10 on E drive. Same thing will happen. Same thing will happen. Boot sector will be always getting up to date. Update with the latest OS. So latest OS among three, which is latest, Windows 10. So Windows 10 bootable files will be available on boot sector. But you please try to understand with that it contain bootable files of Windows 7, Windows 8 and Windows 10 also. Windows 10 bootable files equal to Windows 8 bootable files plus something extra. Windows 8 bootable files equal to Windows 7 bootable files plus something extra means updates only, updates. Okay, boot process update, new, okay, something like security, there will be security option like secure boot options, like this updates will be there. So this is what happens. So boot sector will be always created in a partition, okay, where you are installing an operating system first. Then you can ask a question like, suppose I have, in this case, okay, in this case I have primary partition. Okay, let's consider again Windows, then easily you can understand. I have a one primary partition, but I would like to install Windows 11 operating system on logical. Is it possible? Okay, answer is yes. You can install operating system on logical partition also. No worries. You can install 100%. You can ask Windows administrators. They will have experience. Sorry. Windows. Okay, Windows 10. You have installed Windows 11 on logical partition, but when you install Windows 11 on logical partition, boot sector will exist on primary only. So one primary partition is really mandatory. If you want to install an operating system on a hard disk, one primary partition is mandatory. Understand? To create the boot sector. Okay, you are installing Windows 11 on logical partition. Windows 7 operating system files will be available in logical partition here, but Windows 11 bootable files will be available on the primary partition where, okay, machine created boot sector while installing it. This is a process. Okay, remaining things you may understand when I am explaining boot process of the Linux operating system. If anything, please ask. Okay, okay. If not clear, please ask, then I'll. Okay, now we will start here. Please look here. I have created 4 primary partitions, 10 GB each. And there is what? 40 GB unpartitioned space. This is totally 40 GB, 80 GB hard disk, right? So, according to MBR, you can create maximum 4 primary part. Sorry. Okay, you can create maximum 4 primary partitions according to MBR. So after creating 4 primary, you can't create extended. Please don't ask why. This is very old, 42 years old program. FDisk is 42 years old program. MBR partitioning style is 42 years old concept. Understanding? So if you ask me such question, I can't give any answer because they are well defined. We can create maximum 4 primary partitions. Okay, once you have created 4 primary, you can create extended. If no extended, no logical also. Okay, because that is how they have designed it. Okay, here there is 40 GB unpartitioned space. You can't really use this. If you want to use this space, what you have to do is you have to delete at least one partition. You have to delete at least one primary partition. Okay, at least one primary partition should be deleted. Okay, now look, 40 plus 10, 50 GB is free, right? Not free, 50 GB is, unpartitioned space. This complete space can be given to the extended and further divide to logical. Clear? So this is how, okay, we create partition according to MBR. Okay, I believe it's okay. It's clear. Then let's go for this. Okay. Now I've told you there are 2 types of we are following DOS. DOS means MBR. So there are 2 types of partition: primary, extended. When I press N for new, right? Creating new add new partition. Understand? So then it's asked whether you want to create primary or extended, and it says primary 0 extended 4 are free, means no partitions are defined on this hard disk completely. Okay, completely available. E extended container for logical partition. I've explained well, I think. Okay, now it says default is P, means primary. If you press enter, it will be primary. And if you want to create extended, you can create extended, but problem is what? This is okay for data disk, but for operating system extended, one primary is mandatory. Understand? One primary is really mandatory. So I'll go for primary now. We are not planning to use this list for installing operating system, but I just want to teach you how do we create primary and all. Okay, enter. Then it says using default response. What's the default response? P. So that means it's going to create primary. Okay, partition number 1 to 4. 1 to 4. 1 to 4 means I've told you can create one primary, two primary, three primary, four primary also. But after creating four primary, you can't create extended. Okay, so if you want, you can create one primary, one extended, or two primary, one extended, or three primary, one extended, or four primary. That's your wish. Understand? So, and asking 1 to 4, default is 1. So, creating first primary, second primary is not a matter. So, there is nothing in that number, you just enter. Then it says first sector 2048. So I've told you track and sectors. Your disk is divided into track and sectors. So it says, and also I've told you track will always start with, sector always start with sector number 1. So it says, like sector number 2048 to these many sectors are totally available. Then what happened to sector number 1 to 2047? That is reserved for what? You will understand later. Now you just keep in mind sector number 1 to 2047 are reserved. Purpose we will discuss in boot process, please. Okay, and it says I can start partition. Okay, partition can start from 2048, sector number 2048, maximum these many. Understand? So it's very difficult to manage this size of the partition in number of sectors, number of bytes. Understanding? We usually manage with kilo, mega, giga, tera, peta. Understanding? That's easy for us. So what I'll do is, I'll just enter. It says like start from 2048. Yeah, start from 2048. If you start from 5000, what will happen? Again, you will lose some sectors. Understanding? So start from 2048 exact. Next, you can see it's asking last sector. So I've told you it is difficult to enter the sector numbers. Okay, so either you can mention the size of the partition in number of sectors or no. Okay, or you can give in plus size kilo, mega, kilo, mega, giga, tera, petabyte. Understanding? So what I'll do is I'll just give in. I just want to give 4 gigabyte. So I'll just give 4. Okay, I should give plus size 4G. Understanding? So plus 4G. Okay, it says created a new partition 1, type of Linux, size 4 gigabyte. Press P again to print. Yes, one partition is created. What's the partition name? Look at the name. Okay, name is interesting. You see /dev/sd. Actual name of the disk was SDA. So partition number 1, SDA1. I've told you in last class, SDA1, SDA2. Understanding? And forget starting, ending. Okay, these sectors and all is very difficult to manage in number of sectors. Okay, so look at this size 4 gigabyte clear. And is it bootable? No, it's not bootable. After installation only it will become bootable. So there is no mark. Okay, if it is bootable, there will be a star asterisk. Okay. 4G. So what's the size? 4 gigabyte. ID, partition ID. Okay, Linux has one speciality. Linux support, other operating system partitions also. Linux support FAT32. Linux support FAT16. Okay, Linux supports some file systems of other partitions. I mean, other partitions also, other partition types also. That you will understand. Please wait. Okay, so it says 83. 83 means Linux data partition, which Linux partition which can be used to store data. That's the meaning 83. I'll show you. We have you can just give L4 listing. There are so many types of partition. Forget. I don't want to make you confused, please. Okay, I'll just give again P 83 and type is Linux. So anyway, we have created one partition. Then you may have a doubt as to whether it's primary, extended. How do we identify? Please wait. Now, what's the total size of the hard disk? 20 gigabyte. Out of 20, 4 gigabyte assigned to one primary partition. Now we have 16 gigabyte not free space, unallocated space. So if you give capital F will tell you how much, okay, what is the unpartitioned space available on this hard disk. It says there is 16 GB of unpartitioned space available on this hard disk. Now what I'll do is I'll give this complete 16 GB to extended. Okay, I need only one primary. We will do all examples, please wait. I want to create only one primary, and remaining complete space I'm planning to give to allocated to, okay, extended. So again, and for new, this time, okay, default is P, right? But I'll just give E because I want to create extended. Okay, type 2. Okay, start from this, and I want to give complete size, complete space to extended, right? So I'll just enter. I don't have to specify the size here. Then it says what, created a new partition to type extended and the size 16 gigabyte. So you print again, then it says yes, there is an extended created. Now it's very easy to identify extended and primary. Okay, above extended are primary. So we created only one primary, so above extended are primary. Look at this SDA2 and 16 gigabyte, and you may have a partition ID. Partition ID is just, Linux operating system. Okay, we people, users always use what? Partition name to identify the partition, like SDA1, SDA2, or /dev SDA1 /dev SDA2. This is how we manage or we identify the partition. But Linux operating system identifying the partition with the help of partition ID. Okay, so it's not for us actually, understand? So extended is created. What is next? I just want to define some logical partitions in extended. I just want to define some logical partitions in extended. So what I'll do is I'll again start directly partition creation. I'll go for N. Then it says directly, it's not asking us whether you want to create primary or extended, because okay, primary and extended are defined already, right? So if you're going to define again a partition, that would be normally, okay, probably it would be a logical partition. So it starts, see, it says adding logical partition number 5, first sector. I've told you, okay, so it should start from next available sector, that's all. Okay, and I just want to create 4 GB of logical, so I'll just give again plus 4 gigabyte created. Now capital F will tell you how much free space available. 12 GB is available in extended as free. Now I am going to divide one more logical. I'll go for N again. Okay, and 4 gigabyte again, example. Okay, that's your wish. How many you want, you can create. 2 GB is available. P for print. Then it's showing, yeah, 2 logical partitions are defined below the extended. So extended contain 2 logical. Above extended primary. Below extended are logical. Okay, and it says there is 8 GB of free space available again. Now what I'll do is again I'll go for N for creating new, and I'll give plus 4G. Okay, created. Capital F. There is only 4 GB space available. I just want to create one more logical partition. So I'll just give N again and enter. That's all. Because only 4 GB is available. You want to allocate complete 4 GB to next logical. So that's all. We don't have to mention the size in this case. Okay, go for P print. Yes. Primary. STA1 primary. STA2 extended. And logical partition always start from fifth. Fifth to, okay, fifth to 15. How many? 11. Okay, STA5 to STA15. So you please try to understand, you can create maximum 15 partitions. 3 partitions primary, 1 extended, and remaining 11 logical. 3 plus 1 plus 11 equal to 15. Clear? So this is frequently asked interview question. How many partitions can be defined in, okay, Linux, hard disk? Answer is 15. Okay, so in 50 maximum you can create 15. Okay, out of 15, 3 are primary, 1 extended. So if you create 4 primary, you can create extended. Then story is different. Okay, 3 primary, 1 extended, 11 logical. So that's reason logical partition name always start from STA. Okay, it will always start from 5th STA 5, 6, 7, okay, till 15. You can test it. Okay. So now we have just defined partitions. Okay, these partitions are really not created. Just we have placed an order. We have placed an order to create partition. So when exactly this happens, after writing, that's what, like here we got a message. See, changes will remains in main memory only until you decide to write them. Understand? So what you have to do is you have to just request machine to, like FDIS to, okay, make this possible on your hard disk. Okay, to create partition. So you have to just give a W for write, save, Q for quit, write and quit. Understanding? So I'll just enter. Yes, now we are out of this program, right? So we have landed in our usual prompt. Understanding? Now we are out of this program. Check LSBLK again. STA1, STA2 all are visible. Look at STA1 4 gigabyte. Okay, and STA2 1 kilo. Actually, there is no free space available in STA2. What is STA2? STA2 is extended. Okay, there was 16 GB with extended. We have divided for logical, right? So that's the reason it's showing 1 KB here. Understanding? So partitions are defined. You please try to understand. Okay, STA2 will not be accessible. You cannot access from your operating system because STA2 contain, okay, what for logical, those for logical can be accessed. STA2 is just a container of the logical. Understanding? Okay, so after this, you are supposed to give one more command here, part probe. This is really not mandatory in all cases, okay? But for exam point of view, part probe is very important. You must fire this. Actual use of this command is, in books and all they have written like, if you now see like, you just restart. If you just reboot your machine, okay, if you reboot your machine, what will happen is partitions will disappear, it seems. But I've just tested many times, nothing happens. Okay, so they are saying you must update partition information to the kernel. Okay, you must update partition details to the kernel. To update partition details to the kernel, we use partprobe command, or you can use UWADM settle command. Anything is fine. So now you use partprobe. I'll teach UWADM later. Partprobe. So this command will inform the update the changes to the kernel. Changes means now we have requested to create partition on hard disk, right? These are the changes means, okay, but this is really not mandatory. But exam point of view, you must fire it, okay? Because if not, if you didn't, I don't know, like, I've just trusted, I asked many people, there's no proper answer for this. Many people are saying this is not required. Even I have tried, it's really not required. But in books they have written you must fire the part probe command to update the changes to the kernel. Okay, otherwise the changes means the like partitions which you created will not persist, it seems. But I have tested, it's persisting. It's available. Understand, changes will not persist, they are saying. But it's happening, I don't know. Anyway, now you just follow it, please, just for exam purpose, okay? So this is how we create partitions. So I just showed how do we create normal partitions. Okay, after this, I will not show like creating 2 primary, 3 primary, 4 primary. You must test it. You must try. Okay, I will next what I'll do is I'll just start file systems. After that, okay, we will learn mounting, and finally I'll show you GPT, and we will close this particular discussion and we will move to LVM swap like that. Understanding? So please, I will not show multiple primary creation and all that. You must try because I have just explained here same way you try to create it. Now you got an idea how do we create. Please try it. Okay. So file system is tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow I'll teach you how do we apply the file system and mounting all. Ask Praveen. question.
Sir, we have how in this LS BLK list we have an NVMe one created when we install the OS, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
that it is in that boot partition is 1 GB
Mm.
and that is primary partition and NVMe P2 that partition number 2 is extended, right?
It's okay. You can read it as extended. It's not actually extended. Okay,
Because
there.
see root and
No.
swap is under the that 2 partition, right? I guess it is
Yeah,
extended.
yes. See, thing is like here it is used different strategy. LVM strategy is used. Okay, so our operating system is not on a normal partition, it's on LVM. Okay, so until I explain LVM concept, there is no point of discussing it. We have LVM,
Okay,
then you
and
will understand.
we actually how we can create the actually I forgot to create the home directory, home partition. How can we
That's
create in the,
if you have free space, and I mean unallocated space, you can create it. In this
or
in
we
this case, we don't have.
can we shrink?
Yeah, you can. This you can shrink, because that's the main purpose. Earlier, I'll tell you there are a lot of stories to tell about it. Okay, but it's better, when I'm teaching LVM, you ask this, please. We have
Okay,
LVM, please.
okay,
Okay,
fine, fine.
please, please. Yeah. Okay. If no other questions, we will meet tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow we will discuss about file system appliance, file system differences, mounting, important class really. You please try to understand the importance of this chapter, what this disk and storage management. You will have minimum 4 to 5 questions in exam. 4 to 5 questions really. Okay, please try to understand. So if you don't know mounting, okay, like if you're not following the class well, it will be, and passing Linux exam is not like, if you get questions, the real, I can give you real questions, real, it's not like a free question bank or something which contain thousands of questions. I'll give you 28, okay, 29 questions, same questions only ask in exam, but it's very difficult to even pass again. Understanding it's not easy. You please try to completely, you have to solve practically. Okay, so because of overconfidence or because of some problem, like people will what to say, like do mistakes. Many people are failing, understand? So we are giving actual question means as I said, I'll give you 29 questions, same questions only will give, okay, will come in exam, same question, but still people are failing. Reason that we have to find out, understand? I believe it's overconfidence, because you are getting questions, actual questions, 1 month before exam you are getting actual questions. Then you may think anybody can pass, but there are people really failing. There are people getting 300 out of 300. So exam is not easy, I'll tell you. I'm talking about this certification exam. It's not easy. Okay, so must practice well, then only you can pass exam. Anyway, we'll meet tomorrow. So don't miss tomorrow's class. It's a file system.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks to all. We'll meet tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.